2 days ago, I made a video that was a result of Donaldson Capital Management doing $300 plan reviews. Your plans that you submitted, a lot of them were in Boldin, some of them are in Excel, but they identified 10 common problems that they were, pieced together from the 90 reviews that they did. So these are strong DIYers, well prepared. These were the 10 that they found. That's what I identified in the video 2 days ago. Today, I'm going to go into Boldin and see if I can solve these. So how do you fix these common errors inside of Boldin? So I'm going to share my screen here. See if I can do that. I think we're good. Okay. This is the overview of Boldin. This couple has a 94% chance of success. I'm not going to go into detail of this setup, just a couple highlights, okay? They got $1.3 million and they're retiring. They're 61, going to be retiring now, but taking Social Security at 67. That's the end of the overview. So the first common error was almost everyone was 100% hyper focused on could they retire right now? When can I retire? Can I retire right now? They weren't thinking about how to optimize their retirement plan. So to minimize taxes, to do estate planning, leave a legacy, things like that. Giving to nonprofits, giving to your kids. There was just nothing in their plan for that. And not that that's critical to have to make the decision to retire, but I'm 60 right now. My RMDs kick in at 75. There's a lot of things I can do between 60 and 75 to minimize the tax burden that my heirs will have. I can give money to kids. I can set up for you have a giving nature, you want to give the nonprofits. There's different things you can do. And the earlier you do that, you have more time to minimize your taxes on all of that. Okay. So, when you create a plan and for example, this particular plan, if you look over here, they've got, as things are projected to have $2.6 million, and this is on average settings. So do that $2.6 million, what form do they want that in? Do they want that to be in Roth? Let's see if I can go down. Oh, I have to go into under insights. I'm going to hit my savings. So at savings balances at 58 or 2058 I have 1.65 in an IRA. That's good. 2.6 in a savings account, 264,000, sorry. Brokerage account 1.2. That's pretty good. That gets transferred and establishes a new basis. And then Roth is almost $1 million. So they're set up pretty good. So what are you going to leave your kids? If you leave a Roth, they just inherit that, don't pay taxes at all. If you give, say all of that, this 2.6 million, just to be dramatic, was all in an IRA, they got 10 years to, whittle that down and, accept it all and pay taxes on it. Well, that could be at their peak earning year. So just be cognizant not only of can I retire, when can I be retired, but once you make that decision, quickly go in and look at optimizing for your estate. Okay, so that is number one. Number two was expenses, overestimating expenses as you age. So let's just go into expenses. And this account I used the last time I made a video, so it's not set up too bad. These are a little bit out of order, but baseline spending for this couple, I got $5,000 a month. That's good. So that's just paying the light bill, paying for trash, paying for your streaming services, food, all those basic things. And then I separated out go-go spending. So first of all, baseline spending goes from today through lifetime. Go-go spending goes from today to 2039, basically when my spouse and I are 75. Now, this isn't me, but when they're 75, hey, that's when things start to slow down. And then you go into slow go spending for the next 5 years. So $500 a month is slow go, $1,000 a month for go go. Also, I put this unplanned expense item in here just to show that I'm trying to cover for a broken dishwasher, that kind of stuff. So this shows that, hey, expenses, baseline spending is going to go up, but, early in retirement during go-go, you're going to be spending a little bit more, and then slow go starts to happen and you drop off a little bit. So your expenses don't just enter one number as their feedback and then just have that just take off. Okay, number 3 was very low level of detail with one-time expenses. So we're still under expenses here, expenses in healthcare. So I have one-time expenses entered for this couple. They've got an Alaska trip planned in 2026, 15,000, a new roof in 2028, a kitchen remodel, a new car, and replace the HVAC. Now, I may, looking at this, this covers, the next, like say, this 2039. So that's the next, let's say, 14 years. Well, this couple, that takes them to like 75. Well, will they be buying a car then? Maybe I need to put a second car in here. So you just come down here to add an expense and put a second car in there for, you got to inflate this up. One-time expenses are not increased for inflation. So when this new car comes in 2034, it's got $60,000 in there. This is really the only thing that they have that's not automatically indexed up for inflation. So this is, you got to just inflate this. So if you think a new car is going to be 85,000, you put that in. So make sure you're looking past the next 4, 5, 10 years when you're doing one-time expenses. What's the feedback? That's a common error. So number 4, inflation, overestimating general inflation and underestimating Social Security's inflation to keep pace. So you click on rate assumptions here, and then you can change them all day long. So this has general inflation, optimistic. Optimistic is low inflation. You can increase medical spending. This I actually have for this couple. General inflation and Social Security inflation are exactly the same. Optimistic and pessimistic. Optimistic and pessimistic. And for those of you that are new to Boldin, actually, this is a very cool feature. It allows you to enter an optimistic and a pessimistic number, and it calculates an average. So when you're done inputting all the information, you could say, hey, what if the markets do well? You hit optimistic and everything is on, returns well. Your rates of return, these inflation rates, everything is going your way. You can also hit pessimistic. What if the markets go bad? What if everything goes bad? What does that look like? And then you can do a middle of the road. It calculates an average. So it's really cool when you want to look at your, potential, let's say savings or something like that at longevity. You can hit optimistic, you can hit pessimistic, you can hit average, and give you a feel for what that range is going to be. I love that. So I tend to, you can argue, but I tend to have Social Security be the exact same as general inflation. Medical inflation seems to be a little bit more. Housing, that could be all over the place, So this is just what I entered. I'm not saying these are right, but what people are tending to do is they'll come in and put a general inflation number of 5% is pessimistic, and then they'll have their Social Security is only giving them 2% at the same time, where that's putting your thumb on the scale. So number 5, excess cash flows from RMD time is put into cash accounts, not investments. So what that's referring to is, where do I want to look at that? Let's look at income. So you come over here to income, and you can see, where's RMD? RMD is that little, I guess that's orange at the very top, yellowish orange. burnt yellow at the top here. Those are of this graph right here, the burnt yellow at the top. That's RMD time. It's money that comes at you. You have to do something with it. You have to take it out. It's called a required minimum distribution. But your Social Security, this pink line, you get that coming into you. What else you got? You got other income. That's probably dividends or something else coming in. What are you going to do with that extra income? Well, you come over to money flows and it says, what do you want to do? Is it money flows? Yeah, money flows. Excess income. So if you got $100,000 too much coming in, just to throw out a number, what do you want to do for that? Well, what they're saying at Donaldson is everybody's putting that into your cash account. Well, you're getting a cash account type return. Maybe that's 4%, 3%, whatever you had. This couple put that, hey, 100% of their excess income is going into a brokerage account. So you'll get brokerage account returns. If you have that 60-40, if you have that 100% in equities, you'll get equity returns. And if it's money that you don't need in 7, 8, 10, 15 years, or you're going to leave it as a legacy, why not invest that? If it's going to be for the next 20 years, why not invest that in equity? So that's just a decision you have to make. But it just highlighted Donaldson saying, hey, that's, people need to think about that a little bit more. Now, if you want to spend your excess income, go ahead and do that. Okay. But your plan will change quite a bit if you have it in an investment. So excess income. Okay. Number 6, a shocking number of people had their brokerage accounts set at 0 cost basis. Okay, let's go into assets up here. And let's look at this brokerage account. We're going to open that up. A brokerage account, this couple has $250,000 in there. It's treated as capital gains, okay? Because brokerage account is after taxes. These people already paid tax on this income, okay? Now they're showing a cost basis of $180,000. Cost basis is the total amount you paid for the holdings to go into that account. So this couple put $180,000 in this account and it's grown to $250,000. Okay, so you pay capital gains on the difference between $250,000 and $80,000, so $70,000. If you leave that as 0 as cost basis, you're paying taxes on it all. Giving you an incorrect answer, maybe making you work a year longer. So it's not giving you clear vision of what's going on. So make sure you get your cost basis right. So it's treated as capital gains. You could put it as that ordinary income, but I don't think that's a smart thing to do. Why would you pay if it's in a brokerage account? That means that just doesn't make sense. If it's in a brokerage account, you already paid taxes on it. It shouldn't be ordinary income. Boldin probably should have this default be capital gain so you can get that set right. And then here's the optimistic rate of return, pessimistic rate of return. This may be in like a 60-40 account or something like that. Anyway, so make sure that you get your cost basis right for your brokerage account. Let's go back. Okay, so on taxes, 50% of the people were underperforming Roths, 50% were overperforming Roths. So let's come down to Roth Explorer. This is the huge power and differentiator really for Boldin. This is the Roth and Social Security Explorer. So what's your philosophy on how to do Roth conversion? So you can go down here, and some people are doing this and say, hey, I don't care about Roth conversions. I want to convert as much as I can, but I absolutely do not want to incur any IRMA charge. So you can hit no IRMA charge here. Click yes here. And it'll come out with, hey, these are the, what's that, 5, 6 Roth conversions to do to keep your IRMA. See, they're keeping their IRMA let's say IRMA is down here. It's the last one. No IRMA fees until looks like death. One of them died earlier than the other one. There's no IRMA fees, but that's not necessarily the best plan. IRMA fees are, nobody wants to pay IRMA fees. Nobody wants to pay $300 more a month for your Medicare supplements, which are income based. Nobody wants to do that. But make sure if you're looking at IRMA fees, you also, let's see, we go back. Wasn't the right thing to hit. You also may want to look at, okay, I want the lowest lifetime tax liability. That's for me. There's a trap in there. So I pay the minimum amount of tax, but I may leave a tax bomb for my heirs. Okay. I like to go into tax bracket limit and take a look at I'll bounce around. I'll look at 22, maybe 24, at least 12. But for this couple, let's look at 12. Yes, I'm willing to pay taxes out of the funds I convert. And this maxes out the 12% tax bracket, assuming the Trump tax bracket changes from, 17, continue on. And you could hit a toggle in here that changes it to they get reverted back to pre-levels. You can see the conversion plan. Remember, we had 6 before. It completely changes. There's several more of them inside of here because you want to maximize at least getting that 12% bracket. And another thing it says is say, hey, you got $365,000 more when you do it this way, okay, than the base plan. Okay, the current plan is this. Current plan is this. The optimized plan is this. So you got $365,000 more if you follow this plan versus this plan. Make sure you're going in the Roth Explorer and you have a thought process of what you're doing. You're trying to save money on taxes. You're not just doing Roth conversions to do Roth conversions. I've talked to people, and not saying this happened to the reviews by Donaldson, but I've had people do 100% of their IRA conversion to Roth in 1 year. And I said, what are you doing? You're paying 37% tax bracket on most of this, and you don't want to do that. Taxes, I'm going to go back to taxes. I love looking at taxes. So here's what you're trying to do with Roth: net taxable income by federal tax bracket. Okay, you got a guide over here. The 10% is the dark line, the green is 12%, and the orange I'm calling is 22% tax bracket. So you can see they're hitting a 22% bracket here just a little bit, but they hit it a lot back here. Okay, so you can do Roth conversions in this time period between 2035 and 2049, pull this money forward, pay taxes on it at the 12% tax bracket. See how you can fill up that 12% bracket and not have to pay 22. You save 10%. So that's why you do a Roth conversion. This chart right here is my go-to for why I'm doing Roth conversions. Not only looking at the difference in my savings accounts, but which bracket I'm wanting to eliminate. This bracket, this 24% tax bracket, and also this 22% tax bracket. I can easily do that by pulling this money forward. Okay, hopefully that makes sense on taxes. So don't get hyper focused on IRMA. I don't want to pay IRMA at all because that's today. Think about, boy, look at you're going to pay 10% more in federal taxes back here and 12% more here. You got to have that strategic view, just like the first bullet, a strategic view. Number 8 is underestimating rates of return. So let's go back up here to the assets. And we enter for, let's just look at the IRA here. We're putting in 10% optimistic, 5% pessimistic return, and it calculates an average of 7.5. Well, a lot of people come in here under optimistic, for their stocks, and they'll say optimistic rate of return 6 and pessimistic rate of return 1. Well, you can do that. You can do that. But what that means is this is going to grow slower, and you may work 2-3 more years because of that. I tend to use historical for optimistic rate of return. So I put optimistic in as 10, based on the S&P 500 valuations. I think that would be optimistic if we continued to do what we've been averaging for the last 30, 40, 50 years. I think that's optimistic. Also, I think pessimistic over longer periods of time, at 5% would be pretty rough. Now, you could put a lower number in there. You could put in 0. And if you're looking at, the lost decade, it was close to 0. Counting dividends, I think it was a little bit higher, maybe 2, 3%. I know during that time period, I was about 4.5%. So that's why I put in 5% as pessimistic. That's a pretty bad rate of return. But make sure that, when you're putting in these numbers, if you put in, and I'll get to that in a second. That's actually could be the next bullet. Yeah. Number 9 is, all of these decisions, putting in low rates of return, putting in high inflation, not, Social Security timing, taking that automatically at 62. We didn't even talk about that. But, at 62, you miss out on the growth of the payout could be for delaying. So check out the Roth Explorer, but look at moving that to 63 to 67 to 70 and see what that does. All of those working together. So if you put in low rates of return and high inflation, that's going to cost you to work a couple more years. Even if it doesn't, you're going to make some wrong decisions around taxes, wrong decisions around your legacy. I forgot to mention expenses. A lot of people just put in, hey, I'm spending $5,000 a month. I'll put in 8,000. And, and that's going to go through mortality. They throw their go-go spending in with their base, and it just, they're showing that they're going to spend more money than reality. They're going to get lower returns than reality, and inflation is going to be higher. And all those, if you put them all as conservative, your plan's going to look terrible. Okay, so this is just what Donaldson Capital Management has been seeing. Okay, the number 10 challenge they had that was common was sequence of return planning that people were doing. People have overcorrected for that. So again, let's look at, I'm going to go back to these savings accounts. So sequence of return risk is, hey, early on in my retirement, if I, set to take out 4%, and this just to be dramatic, I'm set to take out 4%. That's just what I decided. I'm not saying that's right. That's not what I would do. But for this illustration, you're going to take out 4%. And then the stock market goes down 50%. Just to be dramatic, easy math. So if the stock market goes down 50% and you're labeled to or slated to take 4%, you're actually taking out 8% because you got a lower value. That dollar value is going to be a higher percent. And then you take out that 8% for the next 5 years, you could have a dramatic impact on your savings. Okay, dramatic. Where if that 50% drop in the stock market happened when you're 86, it doesn't matter as much because you've had the growth along the way. For me, I retired at the beginning of 2019. The stock market, my returns, the first 6 years of my retirement, all been good. So if there's a 30, 40% drop in the stock market, it doesn't hurt me as much because I have banked those good years. And hopefully that makes sense to you. Sequence of return risk, if you take a look at like your where your money is. Well, let's look at income. This isn't the greatest of charts here because these colors are too close to each other, but this couple in their first year, they're having a drawdown of their savings of $122,000. You can see that, a drawdown of 110 the next year, 128 the next year, 120. These aren't consistent because remember, we got the one-time expenses in there. And then when they get out here to 67, they're bringing in Social Security. Their net savings drawdown goes down to 29, goes down to 32, 26. So these first few years, they're doing a heavy draw draw out of their savings. It's probably not a good idea. I'll just say what I would do. I wouldn't have those first 5 years in the stock market. Just wouldn't do it. I'd have them in a low risk bond fund, tips ladder, money market fund. I'd have them in something low risk because the stock market has a lot of drama in it in 0 to 6, 7 years. So I would have this in a fixed, and that protects me from a sequence of return risk. If the market goes great, don't have FOMO, don't have fear of missing out. Your other investments increased, but those first 5 years, I wouldn't recommend that. So just don't panic with sequence of return risk and have 90% in fixed assets because you want to get through a sequence of return risk. Look at history. I've got videos out on this of what's the history of bear market down and then return time. They can be up to 10 years. You look at the lost decade, I mentioned that, and there was some time in like at the 70s that was pretty long, but on average, I think it's somewhere around three years to go down and then go back up. Some of them have been real quick, matter of months, but in retirement, you just need to have that thought out. Look at the last 10 bear markets and their return, how long they've lasted, and put in the amount of money that you need to handle that sequence of return that hits you hard. I know I'm jumbling sequence of return risk with bear market risk and when you need the money, but they do overlap a lot. So there you go. Those are the 10 common errors and how you can fix them inside of Boldin. I love Boldin. The software is just so much more comprehensive than other packages that are out there. You don't just enter $5,000 as your expense, which a lot of, free software does. That's not reality. You can't put in different inflation rates. You don't have the Roth Explorer that says, here's, we'll maximize the 22% tax bracket, for all your income and all your one-time expenses that you've got going on, all your returns. Hopefully you see this as an exceptional tool. You get a free 2 weeks when you use my link down below. Yeah, that's all I've got today. Signing off. Joe out.